Tariq talked the way he did everything else, with enthusiasm, without apparent filter, and with the particular honesty of someone who has decided that the truth is always more interesting than the managed version of it. He talked for 40 minutes. Maya listened with the focused stillness of a woman who was a paralegal by training and understood that the most important information was usually in what people chose to include without being asked. Lara listened and took photographs of the afternoon light on the terrace stones, because keeping her hands busy was the only way she knew to keep her face from doing things. The story, as Tariq told it, went like this. Yasmin Khalil had come into the Al Rashid orbit 6 years ago through her father, a minor diplomat with major ambitions and a daughter he had trained from an early age to be an instrument of them. She was brilliant. No one disputed this. She had studied international relations in Paris, worked at the Arab League in Cairo, and arrived in Zafaran at 27 with a resume that read like a blueprint and a social precision that made people feel chosen when she turned her attention to them. Karim had been 30, newly returned from Oxford, newly installed as his father's heir apparent, navigating the gap between the man he'd built himself into abroad and the role waiting for him at home. Yasmin had understood that gap with what appeared to be exceptional empathy. She had stood in it with him. She had made it feel smaller. He loved her, Tariq said without sentiment. Or he loved what she was when she was being it for him. It took him a long time to understand those are different things. "What happened?" Maya asked. Tariq was quiet for a moment, the first real pause in 40 minutes, which told Lara this was the part he'd been deciding how to tell. The first engagement ended when Yasmin broke it off. She said she wasn't ready. She left for Brussels for a posting, EU liaison work. Karim, another pause. He was not well for a while. Not visibly. He is never visibly anything. But I know my brother. Lara lowered her camera. The afternoon light was still extraordinary on the terrace stones, but she was no longer seeing it as a photograph. She was seeing it as the surface of something that went considerably deeper, the way desert ground looks flat until you understand what's underneath. She came back 8 months ago, Tariq continued, with the trade agreement work. She'd been appointed as a diplomatic consultant. My father accepted it because her work is genuinely excellent and he separates professional from personal. A small, dry note in his voice. Karim also accepted it. For the same reason, I think, and perhaps for other reasons he has not fully examined. "And the second engagement?" Lara asked. Tariq looked at her with an expression that was, for once, entirely without lightness. "There was a night, 3 months ago, a dinner at the ministry. My father announced, without having spoken to Karim first, which was its own problem, that negotiations for a renewed engagement were progressing." He paused. Karim did not contradict him publicly. Privately, he told me the announcement had been premature, that he hadn't agreed to anything. "But he also hadn't refused," Maya said. "No," Tariq turned his glass in his hands. "He hadn't refused." The three of them sat with that for a moment. The fountain below made its steady sound. A bird moved through the courtyard, unhurried. "Why are you telling us this?" Lara said. Tariq looked at her with a directness he usually kept beneath the lightness, the version of him that was his brother's brother, after all. "Because Yasmin is not here by accident," he said. "She arranged this posting. She arranged the proximity to my father. And she is not a person who accepts outcomes she hasn't authored." A pause. "And because you asked last night if she was dangerous. And I heard Karim's answer, which was careful and correct and also not the whole truth. "What's the whole truth?" Maya asked. "The whole truth," Tariq said, "is that 3 years ago, Yasmin had a meeting with a man named Hisham Rais. He is Hassan's primary financial backer. He let that sit for exactly the right amount of time. We don't know what was discussed. We may never know. But the meeting happened, and my brother doesn't know about it. And I have been trying to decide for 3 months what to do with that information." The silence after that was the serious kind. Maya's tea had gone cold. Lara's camera was in her lap. "Tariq," Lara said carefully, "are you saying Yasmin has a connection to the man who kidnapped me?" "I'm saying she met with his financier 3 years ago. And I don't know what was said, and I've been sitting on it because bringing it to Karim without more means I'm making an accusation against a woman he stopped, reorganized. Against a woman whose position in his life is complicated." "And now?" Maya said. "And now," Tariq said, looking at Lara with an expression of quiet precision, "someone who had no enemies in Zafaran was kidnapped in Hassan's territory 3 days after she arrived, by men who knew exactly where she would be. Her itinerary was filed with the Ministry of Culture for press accreditation. Yasmin's office processes press accreditations." The afternoon light moved across the terrace stones. Somewhere below, a guard changed shift with the quiet efficiency of a palace that had been running itself for 4 centuries. Lara sat very still and felt the pieces assembling with the particular cold clarity that came over her in the field, when a story turned out to be larger and darker than the surface suggested. "She knew where I'd be," Lara said. "I don't know that," Tariq said. "I know it's possible." "But you think it?" "Yes." Maya set down her cold tea with the deliberate precision of a woman who has made a decision. "Okay," she said. "I've been in Zafaran for 6 hours. I have not slept on a plane in any meaningful sense. I have drunk excellent tea and eaten bread that I will think about for the rest of my life. And I have just been told that the beautiful, evil woman who is trying to remarry the man who temporarily married my best friend may have also arranged for that same best friend to be kidnapped in the desert." She looked at Tariq. "Is there more tea?" "Immediately," Tariq said, and stood up with the speed of a man who is very relieved to have something useful to do. They agreed, after the fresh tea arrived, on 3 things. First, Tariq would say nothing to Karim yet, not until they had something more concrete than a meeting and the theory and a timing that might be coincidence. Second, Lara would be careful around Yasmin. Not cold, nothing that would signal awareness, just careful. Third, Maya, who had done 3 years of litigation support and had what she called an unreasonable memory for detail, would start paying attention to Yasmin's movements and conversations in the way that only someone Yasmin didn't consider a threat could do. "She'll underestimate me," Maya said, with the serenity of someone who has built an entire skill set on exactly this phenomenon. "They always do." "I like her very much," Tariq told Lara. "Everyone does," Lara said. "It's her superpower and her burden." Maya pointed at her. "That is the most accurate thing you've ever said." She found Karim in the library at 7, reading something dense and official-looking with his reading glasses on, a detail she hadn't known about him, glasses, and it landed with the mild disorientation of discovering an unexpected room in a building you thought you knew. He looked up when she entered. The glasses came off with the practiced gesture of someone who has been caught being human and is efficient about it. "Sorry," she said. "I was looking for Dr. Nasser." "He goes home at 6. "Is there something I can help with?" She looked at him, at the careful face and the official document and the glasses now folded in his hand, and thought about everything Tariq had told her, and Yasmin and the financier and the accreditation office, and the weight of 3 months of a brother knowing something and not knowing what to do with it. "No," she said, "it can wait." She turned to go. His voice stopped her at the door. "Lara!" She turned back. "Tomorrow," he said, "I have to visit the Al Karam Plateau to assess the security situation after Hassan's withdrawal. It's a 4-hour drive." "The ruins you came to photograph are there. If you wanted to come, for the work, I mean. The light in the morning on those formations is..." He paused again. "I've been told it's exceptional." She looked at him. He looked back at her with the composure of a man making a logistical suggestion that had nothing to do with anything else at all. "Who told you the light was exceptional?" she asked. The micro-expression. Just barely. "Dr. Nasser," he said. "He reads your work." "Right." She held his gaze for a moment. "What time?" 6. "I'll be ready." She walked back to the East Wing with her camera and the conversation and the information she was carrying and the morning already planned in her mind. The plateau light, the ruins, 4 hours each way with a man who said almost nothing and meant almost everything he said. And the 7 days counting down like a clock she was no longer entirely sure she wanted to hear. She stopped in the corridor outside her room and leaned against the cool stone wall and looked at the ceiling and breathed. Down the hall, she could hear Maya at something, a real laugh, full and unguarded, the laugh she only used when she was genuinely surprised by delight. Tariq's voice underneath it, saying something she couldn't make out. She smiled at the ceiling, despite everything, despite all of it. Then she went inside and set her alarm for 5:15 and did not think about any of it for the rest of the night. She thought about all of it for the rest of the night. At 11:40, Yasmin knocked on her door. She was in silk pajamas and an expression of perfect, practiced warmth. The version that arrived with warm milk and good intentions. The version that was hardest to read because it was closest to genuine. She was carrying a small carved box. "I thought you might want these," she said, and held it out. Inside, on a bed of dark velvet, was a set of camera lens filters, professional grade, the precise specifications Lara used, the kind that were difficult to find outside of specialized retailers in 3 cities in the world. "For the Al Karam shoot tomorrow. The plateau dust plays havoc with contrast at sunrise." She smiled. "Karim mentioned you were going." A pause, light as a blade. "I used to go with him sometimes. Before." She left before Lara could find the right words, which Lara suspected was entirely deliberate. Lara stood in her doorway holding a box that was simultaneously a gift, a demonstration, and a warning, and understood for the first time with total clarity that whatever game was being played, she had been on the board from the beginning. Next chapter, the plateau. The ruins were everything her photographs had promised. What she hadn't photographed, what she hadn't known to look for, was him, watching her work, with an expression his face had no name for yet.